All right, next up, we continue along Wisconsin and Purdue. We move to Friday night, a little Big Ten action on Fox Sports 1. Wisconsin, 6-point road favorites, 54.5 the total in this game. Look, it hasn't been smooth sailing here for Luke Fickell. First year at the helm here at Wisconsin. There's been a lot of up and down play. They struggled to really put it to Buffalo in the first game. It took a while for them to finally pull away. They didn't cover 28.5-point favorites, didn't sniff a point spread cover there. Same thing with at Washington State in Pullman. Not an easy place to play, but basically trailing most of the game. They lose 31-22 on the road there, fail to cover. And then last week against Georgia Southern, 35-14. Now, they did play an excellent second half. They outscored Georgia Southern 28-7 in the second half. But that game was a struggle for the Wisconsin offense for a large portion of it. You know, Mordecai was okay, not great. You'd like to see better than a 19 for 30, 236 passing yard performance against a defense like Georgia Southern. So that does concern me a little bit. Braylon Allen, of course, Ches Malusi, two really solid running backs here for Wisconsin. Got it going on the ground a bit. But, yeah, it's just not been smooth and it hasn't been crisp. And certainly the defense is still a little bit of a mild concern for them with what they've shown at times, especially when you look at the Washington State game when they gave up 31 points and really struggled with Cameron Ward and that Cougars offense. And the one thing you can say about Purdue, and Purdue obviously had a tough go of it this past week, losing 35-20 to Syracuse. And I was on Syracuse. I thought Syracuse was just the better team, cheap price. Still issues with this defense for Purdue. And it's got to be disappointing for a guy that got this job because of how good a defensive coordinator he was, Ryan Walters. You know, it's got to be disappointing to see just the bad open field tackling, just the inability to really get key stops. If you look at their defensive numbers, they're getting shredded really through the air in particular. And that could be trouble here because that's a matchup concern against Wisconsin, which has transitioned more to a pass-heavy offense this year with Phil Longo, the new OC, and with the SMU transfer Tanner Mordecai at quarterback. So the weaker point of this Purdue defense, they really don't have a strong point, C-Mac. They're pretty bad all around, but they're even worse against the pass, and that's concerning here against Wisconsin, a team that's throwing the ball more than they ever have in recent years. On the flip side, you know, I don't mind the Purdue offense. You know, they put up 35 against Fresno in a win on the road against, you know, a decent Virginia Tech defense. They scored 24 points. They did bog down a little bit against Syracuse, but they had 403 passing yards. What ended up hurting Purdue in that game was some turnovers, 3 lost fumbles. I mean, really, that's a huge difference in the game. They had no problem moving the ball against Syracuse, especially through the air. But when you lose 3 fumbles and you're minus 2 in the turnover margin, it's really going to hurt your chances of winning and covering. And we saw that with Purdue. If they probably hang on to the ball a little bit better, they probably put up more than those 20 points. So this is another overlean for me. We'll have to see what the weather is. Purdue still plays, you know, at a decent pace. We know Wisconsin has picked up their tempo this year with the new look offense. So the 54.5 certainly would lean over the total right now. They're betting Purdue here. This opened Wisconsin as a 7-point road favorite, down to 5.5, 6 now in this one. I don't know about that, but I know Purdue has probably got a better game in them. And I think the betting markets are seeing, Conor, that that game was probably closer than a 35-20 final score, that loss to Syracuse, because of all the turnovers. If Purdue hangs onto the ball, they're right in that game. Hell, maybe they have a chance to win that game. And I think they're reacting to that, betting Purdue, that Purdue probably played better than that final score indicated. So yeah, I don't mind that opinion. I'm really lukewarm on the side. I don't think I'll get there. But I understand what people see with Purdue as a home dog. I just like the total more in this particular game. C-Mac, what are you thinking here for this Big Ten matchup?
Yeah, the 7 has come down. And Purdue, been horrible at home. It's last 6, haven't covered a number. One thing, because I always remind me, because these teams play just every year, Wisconsin has owned Purdue too, 13-3 the last 16 in this rivalry. You mentioned it; they've gotten beat through the air, but I thought on the ground, I mean, Schrader ran all over him, 271 yards. Yep. Syracuse, but it should have been a closer game. I like Syracuse as well, like you talked about. They came through, but I think the game should have been closer. There, Hudson Carr was okay. Can they get it done? There's nothing's making me really jump to Purdue, just at least right now. And Wisconsin, yeah, I thought they were slow out of the gate. You know, they pulled away in that game. but it was close early. They already lost on the road at Washington State. Wisconsin also, just its last 7 on the road, 1-6 ATS. Not a team that I want to lay points on the road, really. Just this is the game, really, I don't want either side as of now.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel right now. I think if it were to move down further, I'd maybe have a little interest in Wisconsin. If it went back up to 7 or more, I'd probably have interest in Purdue. So, that's probably where I'm at. And definitely the overs in play for me. I'll probably have that in pocket. And certainly if the weather's going to be good Friday night, I'll definitely be making that one official.